Hi, welcome to another episode of Ian Wallace, the Messed Up Counsellor. Today I'm looking at summer, the arrival of the sun, and the better weather sometimes, or in our case, in Britain, rain. And when we look at that process of coming into summer, coming into lighter nights, coming into more brightness, more sunshine, more heat, there's an aspect of looking forward. There's an aspect of wondering what that's going to be like. And generally speaking, the sun, the light, does lift mood. And as we move through that process of spring and into summer, that hope, that looking forward, energizes us and makes us feel more attached, connected, usually, for a lot of people. There are some that obviously won't because they're going through some difficulties. But if you're not going through difficulties and trauma, then generally speaking, your mood will lift. And there's usually some aspect of planning for that time. There's some aspect of maybe holidays, maybe time out, maybe time away with people and friends. And as you move forward through that, you find that that future process of expectations, if you like, of what that's going to look like and how that's going to be. And as we move through that, as we get into that process of summer and lighter nights, gives us more opportunities to go out, walk and be outside and all those kind of things, which are generally pretty good for us, for most people. And having that air and that kind of nature, the kind of flowers, the trees, the birds, and all the other things that happen after spring, it lifts our mood, lifts our process, makes us feel usually more connected. When we're going through that process of trying to look forward, it's, in my world, helpful to have something to look forward to, which is why we plan things. We put things in diaries. We make people aware that we're going to spend time with them, maybe. And that happiness, that inner glow, and that being content sometimes is helped by that. It's not something I can actually categorically say, but there is a lot of research about light and about mood and sun and vitamin D and all those kind of things that help us to feel more connected, more comfortable, better, happier, whatever you want to call that. And as we move forward into that time and we have those experiences, hopefully good ones, hopefully ones with good outcomes, whether it's meeting people, having holidays, spending more time outdoors, and that enjoyment of time and that moving forward with our needs met, if you like. When we come into that time and we get that time together and we get some space, more time during the day maybe because of lighter nights, maybe we've had 1 or 2 weeks off. If we've got that planned process of spending time with people, that can be a really good motivational tool to use because we've planned it, we're going to do it, we've probably paid for some holiday time, maybe, and that process of looking forward tends to lift our mood and makes us feel more comfortable. And especially if we're going to do something, as I've said, which we really like to do or want to do, or share time with people that we like to be with. When you're not in that place, you're not one of those people who can lift that mood by looking at summer and lighter nights and warmth and the sun and things, then that can be really tough because you see all these other people talking about the things they're going to do and where they're going to go, maybe on their holidays or who they're going to see. And if you're not in that process, it can feel very isolating. In fact, it can make you isolate even further sometimes. And people don't necessarily realise that unless you tell them, obviously. So they may be out enjoying themselves, getting ready to go on holidays and all those kind of things. And they expect and would assume that you're going to do something similar. But if you're not, that, as I say, can isolate you. It can make you even feel worse because everybody's having fun, they're going to be enjoying themselves, and I'm not, for whatever reason. So it's a kind of a place of two parts. It's the ones that can look forward and enjoy, and the ones that life's difficult and it's not going to get any better, maybe, for that process. But there is a lot of studies about the sun and how it can affect us and how it can change some of the chemicals within our bodies and minds. And if you can bear that process of being outside, then it's usually connected with healthy and more calm and more able to cope. But as I say, some people can't do that, and if you can't, then that's okay, obviously. But it might be helpful if you talk to other people who are close to you, people you trust, people who care about you, so that you can give them that understanding, well, I'm kind of not in that place. I'm not in that space. I'm not in that head space of looking forward to whatever's going to happen. Actually, whatever's going to happen is not something that looks like it's going to be enjoyable, fun. And if you can do that, if you can talk to people, then they're not going to assume that you're the same as them. They're going to be able to maybe take some time out and maybe chat to you, maybe talk to you, maybe share some time with you. And maybe that would enable you to feel more connected, less isolated. The reason why we like to look forward, as I think I said, is it gives us hope. It gives us something that we can see, we can feel, we can get in motivated to. And hope is a really precious thing that if you can have it, it can usually propel you forward. It usually can lift your motivation, lift your energy, because you're looking forward to something. And as long as that thing materializes, and it is what you expect it to be, then it'll probably cement you and make it okay for the next few months, maybe, to rest and relax and recuperate. And that hope gives us that time, that frame, and that glass half full, not half empty kind of feeling. Of course, for some people, the sun is not necessarily helpful. Certainly, people with skin issues and people who don't or can't be outside in the sun, and they have to cover up and all those kind of things. So when you're with a partner, when you're with a family, when you're in a system, a family system, then if people are looking forward and you're not able to, then it can feel really isolating and really rejected because they're all going to do this and I'm going to do that. And that disconnection process can be very extreme sometimes for people. If you can look forward and you can feel more lifted emotionally with your mood or with your view on life, then that's a good thing, obviously, and it will keep us going. Some people in the therapy business, like myself, we kind of talk about burnout, where we're coping with people's feelings, emotions, worries, concerns, and that can enable us to kind of bring us down a bit and make us not necessarily able to be lifted. And it's really important that when we do those things, when we see ourselves not enjoying life, not wanting to go to work, not wanting to do the things that we do, that we recognise that. Because burnout is a real thing. It's not just something that is pulled out of the sky. It actually is real. I mean, I certainly tend to book in the diary out time of work every 3 months. I book 1 or 2 weeks off. And I feel that's, for me, that's enough to kind of get my energies up again and get more satisfaction and take my head out of the work I do week in, week out, and make that something just for me and just kind of recharge my batteries, if you like. And I know that's what I can do. I know that's how I work. I've come to understand that over the many years of working in therapy. So I need, about every 3 months, I need 1 or 2 weeks off, usually 2 weeks. And I make sure that within that time, as much as possible, I don't get involved in work and I don't get involved in answering emails or those kind of things as much as I can. Because that time is precious for me to recharge my batteries and make me feel good, make me get connected again with myself. As I say, the aspect of being a counsellor, being a therapist, it can be a very isolating process, which sounds a bit strange when you're meeting people and you're talking to people or listening to people. But the work that we do can't be shared because of confidentiality. So that in itself means it's very hard for us to offload, to come home and say, oh, I've had a terrible day at work and this has happened and that's happened and this has happened. Or I've had a great day at work and this has happened and this has happened, because of our confidentiality agreements with our clients. So from that point of view, sometimes the work that we do can be very isolating and can be very hard on us. So when we're holding all that our clients give us, and that worries, concerns, fears, nobody usually walks into the counselor and saying at the beginning, saying, I'm having a really good life and I want to share it with you. They usually come to see us because something's not working or something's not right or they need to understand something. So that process of being within the counselling, within therapeutic processes, that burnout is a real thing. And I know it is for other trades as well, and other businesses and other professionals. It's not just counsellors, obviously. Anybody who kind of takes people's concerns, worries and fears and tries to help them, really, or listens to them to try and help them. So it's really helpful if you can work out what your level of work is, how much rest you need, how often you need that, because that process will help you keep your feet on the ground and make it harder to encompass and experience burnout. So I have over the years I've gained that understanding by myself. And if you're into the therapy business and you're brand new into being a therapist, a counsellor, certainly working for yourself, then you need to start working out what it is I can cope with, how much I can cope with. I certainly don't go over 18 hours a week, and that's over 3 days. But that's my limit. That might not be yours, obviously. Everybody's different. But I kind of know how much I can work and how much I can't work in order to get that process. And so when I come to those rest periods, about every 3 months, I take time out and I get off and I do something completely different, because that helps me to recharge those batteries and make me feel okay and make me feel contented, and I've got enough energy to go back into work when I go back into it. So those kind of things are really an individual thing, but it is a very helpful thing to work out and try and stick to. Your structure, your number of hours worked, and obviously days worked, and those kind of things that fall in line with your life and your world. That's a hard one, and it's a hard one for two reasons. If you're employed and you're within an organisation, then you are determined and dictated about how many holidays you can have and sometimes when those holidays can be. So that might be one thing that's kind of restrictive for you. The second is that if you're in private practice, yes, you can take the time off, obviously, because it's your diary. You control your own diary. But then you have to think about how much you're going to earn, when you're going to be able to earn, and is there going to be enough money in the month to pay the bills and do everything you need to do. So there's different pressures whether you're employed or self-employed, which will be how it is for you. So yes, self-employed, we can take as many holidays as we want, but we're not going to be able to get paid when we're on holiday because not many people do that. So that process of helping to understand your work ethic, your process of time that you can do the work and hold the work is really important and should be something you spend some time sorting out. And you'll know if you're into a place where burnout is a possibility, because there will be that not an enthusiasm to go to work. You will be not sleeping as much as you should, or broken sleep. Energy will be different. You'll be more worried, more concerned. You might be isolating yourself with friends and family and those kind of things. So you do need to understand yourself, and you do need to know what's okay and what's not okay. Hopefully that's been interesting for you to open up ideas, thoughts, try and give you some idea of what you wouldn't like to do, or how you would organise yourself in the process. And maybe if you've been experiencing burnout, it'll give you some ideas of coming away from that process and not having it affect you in the future. It's not an easy one, is burnout, but it is a sliding into it. You don't one day wake up with burnout. You kind of move through it, and it comes in a very slow sliding process. So it's sometimes not easy to pick up. But there will be certain things you do, certain things I do, when I'm looking at those kind of burnout processes. And if you can find that, your reaction to burnout, what the behavioural things that you do when you're approaching burnout, or you might be into a burnout slide, then that can be really helpful, because then if you can monitor that and give yourself that heads up that this is getting a bit difficult and I need to watch it, I need to make some changes and do something for myself. Unfortunately, in therapy, as we do, we move into being therapists because we want to help. We want to try and help as much as possible. So there's always that drive to do a bit more, to put another date in your diary, to make something happen for a client. And that boundaries that we set about how many hours we should work, when we don't work, those kind of things, sometimes it's really hard to hold because our drive is to help. Just be careful and be mindful, and hopefully have a great summer, and may the sun shine, and may the enjoyment be many. My name's Ian Wallace. I'm the Messed Up Counsellor. Take care.